My name's Paul.
My name's Mia.
Today on the show, we're talking about Tyler, the Creator,
What makes a great song cover,
and the fascinating world of chairs.
This is Gems of the Internet. Okay, Paul,
Hey.
My first gem that I'm very excited for is that Laura Kampf made a custom table for Digital Spaghetti.
I've seen this.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
This table lives in the new Digital Spaghetti studio now, and I'm very, very proud to be a little part of this.
This is the coolest desk. I didn't know it was gonna have all this custom shit.
She did like custom inlays, walnut kind of trim, aluminum,
Yeah.
with something called Formica, which is kind of, I think, like a hard plastic, but she made it out of plywood and then layered like a green
Right.
layer of
That's like a
Formica on there.
classic technique.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Make it really durable.
I want to see that table in real life.
Yeah, we'll come to San Francisco.
And it actually all works because she put hardware in it. That's like it's like a ball mouse.
Yeah, we actually
Like,
shipped her a spherical mouse, custom 3D printed
whoa.
trackpad thing. I don't even
Whoa.
know how to describe it, from
Yeah.
a company called Ploopy, which is like the funniest name ever.
That's
But
and they just make like mice.
yeah, they make like modded, so it's kind of like
It's a ball mouse.
Yeah,
Like,
we'll
yeah.
put like a photo up there, but
Yeah.
it's a ball mouse with like 4 special buttons that I believe you can customize. So I
Program.
don't think we've
That's so cool.
quite programmed it yet, but it's purple and black.
Okay.
And it lays just right in the center of the table.
I have been waiting to see this in a Digital Spaghetti episode. Has it been in an episode
We
yet?
haven't
Like-
shot with it yet.
Okay, I didn't think so.
We're very excited. But we made the whole like announcement video, and
Yeah.
Laura actually made
I
a
watched
video.
that.
Yeah. So
She's just so good.
we had a whole like back and forth kind of design session with
Oh,
her.
really?
And one thing that I'm really excited for is that a big part of our show is just people kind of looking at their video with Jack.
Right.
And she made like a custom inlay for
Right.
a MacBook
Right.
that's covered with a sheet of aluminum. So
Right.
you don't really have the distracting keyboard anymore.
Yeah. It's cool that it was made by a really good, respected
Yeah.
creator. It's
and
not
she doesn't
just
do
like-
commissions anymore. So
Okay,
this is like a
that-
big deal.
Right. And
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was sort of cool of her to be like, Patreon has given me so much. I'm going to give
Yeah.
back to
Heart.
Patreon. Like, that's
Yeah.
so cool.
So-
Wow. Have you seen it in real life, the table?
I have seen it right.
You have?
Yeah, I actually had it in my car.
What?
So yeah, because her studio was in Santa Clarita. She just moved to Mount Washington, which I was at last night for the LA Maker meetup
Oh, no
with
way.
her and Simone Yetch.
Cool.
She's been
Oh, man.
Yeah, so sick.
Did you get to talk to them? Like,
Yeah, they're just
so
there.
cool.
So if you're in the LA area, I believe it's like the first Thursday of every month. So she moved into this new studio space that includes a gallery, which is really cool because she'll, I'm assuming, like have all the Maker meetup events there, as well
Cool.
as like showcasing her own sculptures and like
Wow.
the art from her friends, and like even the people that showed up there, they were all makers too.
Wow.
One person made a Stranger Thing, like we were supposed to bring one cool thing to as like a kind of an icebreaker. And one person who is a former Disney Imagineer.
Okay,
So, and that
okay.
there was another Imagineer, so you can imagine the group of people that were there. They built like, are you familiar with Stranger Things? In the latest season, there was like a whole storyline of like the
missed
evil
it,
Russians
yeah.
being radioactive. Basically, they made a prop that was like a weathered pelican case, but like bright yellow, kind of the kind that like Homer Simpson would carry, his like
Sure.
little like nuclear radioactive thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you open it and there's like a glowing radioactive
Oh my
green
gosh.
tube, which was in the show used as like a power source that you kind of like take out of the wall and
wow.
grab.
That,
so
and someone made like a replica of that.
yeah, because they worked
That's-
for a company that like made those as party favors for Netflix executives.
Wow.
So,
That's so cool.
and speaking of Laura, she is going to work with Patreon that's doing a campaign called Art I'm Proud Of for Pride. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So my first gem is this YouTube video. It's a 30-minute long YouTube video called Tyler Talk London.
Ooh, I've been wanting to watch
Have you
that, but
seen-
I haven't yet. Okay, so tell me
it's
about it.
Tyler the Creator, and he's at some kind of like Converse event or something.
Little panel
Yeah,
situation.
it's like a panel, and he's like kind of talking, and like it's mostly him talking. I think there's like 5 people up there, and they like say like a few words, but like you only want to hear
We're-
from Tyler.
yeah,
really,
we're there
yeah,
for
like,
him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got such a great voice, like the way he talks.
the
like,
baritone.
I love like anything where he's talking because he's just got such a cool like outlook on stuff. But this specific event was him talking about his latest collaboration with Converse.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And he said that he went back into their like library of shoes from like
Whoa,
history.
imagine like walking into that archive room.
Right?
Yeah.
And he was like, I found 2 silhouettes that he just thought were really cool, and he like basically convinced them to bring them back.
Bro, send me all the stuff from like the beginning. I want to see all of it. And we went through everything, and they had these jogging shoes from like the mid 70s that was such an ill shape. And I'm like, why haven't y'all remade these or put them out or whatever?
From the vault.
Right. And
That's so cool.
And they said that this was the fastest that they've ever created a shoe with anyone. Like
just going through approvals quickly, or
from like the idea to like it happening, it was like maybe like less than a year. He was like, it happened at Coachella last year. Like he was talking with the Converse people, and they were like, let's do these shoes. So there's 2 shoes coming out. They look kind of like Vans. Like they look a lot like Vans.
Well, that's
actually
interesting, because didn't Odd Future start with Vans?
Did they?
And then Vans kind of stumped him, or like limited him creatively.
Really?
And then he was like, I'm going to Converse because they let me do what I want.
Whoa.
That's from what I've heard.
That's...
because they had the little like Odd Future donut thing. On the Vans.
For Vans.
Yeah. So it's interesting that they...
Wow.
Okay. There's some... So then they're low top? Or...
Yeah, they're both like low top.
Okay,
so
cool.
one is like, honestly, it looks identical to the Vans, but kind of
okay.
cooler. And also I feel like Converse are built better. I don't really know. I haven't worn Vans in a while. And then the other one is like more of like a track shoe. It looks kind of like a Asics Tiger kind of shoe, like longer. And it's like, I don't know, very 70s style. And that one has 3 different colorways.
Sorry, not to get shoe nerdy. Not that I am. But is it Onitsuka Tiger?
It's similar to that.
Okay, okay. Like the low top kind of thing.
Yeah. It's so cool. But they talk about that a little bit. Mostly it's just kind of Tyler like taking questions from people and talking about creativity and things like that. And it just like felt kind of refreshing to hear him talk about how he works with a brand like Converse. That there's a huge brand, it's like global.
I feel like there's a lot of mystery behind that and what those like conference meetings look like.
And then it's like on the panel was just, I guess, like some of the people that he like works with at Converse, and they were all just like really cool looking people. They're just like chill. They're just like, we just like your ideas, and like
is he sketching stuff and then kind of sending it out to them for like different versions?
It sounded more like he was just like leaving like manic voice notes at like 4 a.m. like,
actually
being like,
that sounds...
I got this crazy idea, like, but he was like, they're into it, and like they haven't really said no to anything he's like come up with, which is cool.
In the talk, does he touch on like creativity and his creative process and stuff like that, like giving advice?
Someone asks about that, and he basically is just like, you just got to do it. Like you just got to like, it's like a muscle. You got to exercise. Like, I think that there's a question about burnout too, and he's like, I don't get burnt out because I'm always ahead. Like,
I just feel like he can't keep in these projects.
Right.
It's just kind of spilling out of him, and you can tell like even with going through the archives and stuff, and like you can see that he gets influences from everywhere. And I feel like he's just always going to like museums and movies, and like, he has his fingers in a lot of different art forms.
And he said that he's always like one project ahead, which actually is sort of interesting, because I think if you're preparing for a project and it's all you're focused on, and then you're like nervous how people are going to react to it and stuff, the next one is even more intimidating, the next project. But he's like, I'll like kind of finish a whole album and have all that done, and then I'll forget about it, and then I'll start the next one before the original one has been
he like doesn't lose
like,
momentum.
Because then it's like less scary. He's like, oh, I've already forgot about it, like I'm already working on the next thing. Like, you don't even
by
know.
the time
like,
the marketing is out for that first one, he's like, okay,
which actually I thought was
I can do the next thing.
It's kind of cool.
So my next gem is a comic by @Rameen Nazir, who also goes by rainbowbrainskull.com.
Rainbowbrainskull.com. That's a good
Great
name.
That's about visualizing crowd size,
Yes.
but it's kind of unhinged.
I saw this. It's really cute.
Yeah. I love an aggressively supportive comic.
Yes.
And this one was like, imagine 10 people in a theater. Imagine 10 people in your car,
and it
just gets bigger and bigger.
I love at the end where it just doesn't even make sense.
Yeah,
it's like
just jumbled,
just gibberish. That's cute. And I love Carousel on Instagram.
I'm liking that.
We've been talking about this a bit in like the social squad. Like, carousels are really hot on Instagram right now.
They feel natural. Like, it kind of feels like a natural progression to, especially with a comic. I feel like it serves it really well to kind of go through each little page.
And I like that you can take your time like going through each one. Like, also something interesting about the swipe is now going horizontal. Like, we're so
social guy,
right?
What?
We're so used to going up and down, and
you're
now
like,
we're going
this is new.
Horizontal.
We're expanding our universe.
Yeah, but you can still scroll up and down, but now you can go left and right. what's diagonal
next?
scrolling. That's cool. That was, I don't know that creator, but they did a great job. And I'm like curious where that came from. Like, why did they decide to make that, you know? Like,
yeah, because I've seen the like, oh, like, you know, if you're on YouTube and you get 100K views, like, don't be discouraged. Because when you get to a certain level, it's like, if I don't get 1 million views, then it's disappointing. But 100K is like SoFi Stadium.
Do you pay attention to view count on things? Like, either stuff that you're putting out or...
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to. Yeah. I do think, I don't know, like, off the top of my head, I do think, like, subscriber count is more exciting. Because I'm like, oh, yeah, like...
Yeah, how big is this community?
Those are our people. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I do think it's hard not to get disappointed with view count. Yeah. But I do think it's comforting if I know something is good, personally. Right. And I'm like, just didn't reach as many people, but the people who watched seemed to have liked it. So and comments too.
Yeah, comments are huge. I recently was looking up like camera reviews, and I was sort of like, do I sort by view count or do I sort by relevance or like upload date? Like, I was like,
in order to get the best reviews.
Yeah, and ultimately I ended up watching one that didn't have that many views but was still good. Like, which is sort of interesting. What's more valuable? My next gem. This is an old video. This video is like over 10 years old.
Love it.
It's a 12-minute long YouTube video. With John Green giving a talk at a YouTube advertisers conference. From 2015.
If you support YouTubers through advertising, we can build and foster better, more diverse communities. If we're able to rely on you for support, we can build the type of engagement that's good for us, good for the world, and finally, also, coincidentally, good for your brands.
I don't really know why I started watching this, but like, it just kind of got down a rabbit hole of videos. First of all, there's like graphics on the screen behind John as he's like walking out. There's something like really charming about seeing media from like 10 years ago.
Yeah, you're like, that's cute.
And like the aesthetic of it, like it doesn't look like how 90s graphics look. Like it's not like, we're not like, oh my God, that's a different decade. But there is just like something about the sensibility and like the kind of photo they used of him.
It feels like a time capsule.
Yeah, like it's sort of, but just like, but it still looks good. Like it could still hold up, but then there's something about it. Like I also like that he wore just like a blazer and like a normal like button down shirt. Like he actually looks kind of timeless. But this conversation, this talk that he gave, it was really interesting to me because it still holds true today.
10 years later.
He basically like, so the whole conference was a room full of brands, advertisers that want to advertise on YouTube.
Yeah, is this Brandcast?
Brandcast, yeah. Cool. You know about it.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. I was like, is this a thing that's still
they
like,
talk about it in the published press.
Okay,
and give a rundown.
So it's still a thing. So it felt like there was sort of like an energy from John where he was like telling them that it's important to advertise on YouTube.
Still kind of figuring it out, and everyone doesn't take it for granted
right
now.
But then he also said like, you should be scared because there are so many other ways for creators to make money. And he references Patreon.
Crash Course and SciShow are funded mainly by viewers who voluntarily donate to support the shows through Patreon.
As well as like their other like brands, because you know he does like Crash Course and SciShow and like a bunch of other communities in the Vlogbrothers sort of universe of things.
But he was saying YouTube advertisers should be scared?
He was saying that they should be scared because him and all of his companies only rely on ads for 20% of their revenue. Everything else comes from their community and their fan base and like everything. And he was like, you guys should be scared because people are figuring out other ways to make money online.
So they need you less.
Right.
Yeah.
And like that should be scary. And like, and he also like emphasizes like the importance of community and building audiences that trust you and everything. All of that still feels true today.
Yeah, relevant.
Which was pretty cool to see. Like I'm like, it feels like it's just stronger today. And in that he mentions that it's YouTube's 10-year anniversary, and now here we are, it's the 20-year anniversary.
Yeah,
so it's
crazy.
Like there's still sort of a lot of truth in like the building blocks of YouTube and communities online, which
and how like the YouTube partner program supports creators and stuff.
It was very interesting. I have a few quotes here that maybe we'll cut in here, but he says creators are building a world where they don't have to depend on advertising and they are thriving. if you want to stay in the eyeballs business, I love that he calls it the eyeballs business.
Attention economy.
Yeah, that's like advertising is the eyeballs business. He said, I think that's cool. It's a good business, but you risk losing relevance with an entire generation of viewers who look to video not just for distraction, but also for engagement and connection. Which, like, that is so true today.
That's still definitely still relevant.
10 years later, it's pretty amazing. He also name drops Patreon, which is kind of sweet, because back then Patreon was only like a few years old. Like
2013.
And I didn't realize that like Crash Course was fully like supported by Patreon members.
Was it actually? Okay, I was gonna say, like, I'd be curious to look into his involvement with Patreon.
And after this, I got down a rabbit hole of watching old Crash Course videos, which I need to just watch more of them.
Like history of World War II and stuff?
Yeah, I was watching like the African American history, like, and I watched probably like 6 of them in a row.
Yeah, they're great.
But at the end of each one, they say like, join us on Patreon. And then they explain what Patreon is, which I'm like, wow, that's interesting that they were like, they felt the need to include that.
It used
they were like,
to need an explanation.
Yeah, you might not know what it was. So I felt very inspired after watching that. And I think that there's something interesting about watching videos that are old, because they'll always be online. And I'm like, when was the last time someone watched that video? Like, an old video just sits there. And
you like just blow the dust off of it.
Yeah, literally. And then you look in the comments, it's like the last comment was posted like 7 years ago. And I'm like, whoa. Like,
it felt crazy to kind of be doing research for the anthem video for Dodford, and we were looking back at like old VidCon, and I was like, oh my god, like 2012 and
old VidCon. Have you looked at the lineup for this year's VidCon?
No, I haven't.
I looked at it like, and I didn't recognize. I recognized maybe 2 people.
Yeah, I went last summer and it felt very different.
You went,
okay.
And was it just like people you'd never heard of? Like
11 years later. Yeah, it was. A lot of streamers and TikTokers, but I was also on the industry track, so it was interesting to go like less as a like fangirl and more of like, I'm here to network and work.
Interesting.
But it felt different. I don't know. I wouldn't say it felt dead necessarily, but it felt a lot less like, I'm here to like meet so and so. The main floor, like where everyone's walking around, was full of these huge activations, but it was like for Minecraft and for like all these different kind of fragmented niches versus like, we're all here to see the British YouTubers. We're all here to see like Tyler Oakley and
like it just feels like, I mean, the internet's always been huge, but it feels so much bigger today.
The fact that like in 2012 there were only a couple people who were like over 1 million subscribers. Now there's people you've never heard of who have like 5 million.
Yeah. That was something that John mentions in this talk. He like casually was like, and we have 2 million subscribers, and I'm like, why does today that feels like a little low today? Like, are we getting old?
So my next gem is a cover of Chapel Roan's Casual by NIKI, who's an Indonesian singer-songwriter. I know what you tell your friends. It's casual.
It's casual now. She just goes by NIKI.
She just goes by NIKI.
Just
NIKI. Yeah.
Nice.
New favorite artist. It's a country version. It feels like totally different. There was this comment underneath by @endorphin_a_blue. They said, Chapel sings it like it's a fresh heartbreak, full of sour emotions, while NIKI delivers it like she's already processed everything, just telling the story with a detached but cool vibe.
Whoa, that's so cool. I need to listen to that.
So it just, and then that got me thinking about like what makes a good cover. Why does this one feel so fresh?
I feel like there's a common thing with people doing covers where they just slow it down. And that kind of annoys me sometimes, but I also kind of get it. Is this the same with this? Is it like slower?
Yeah, it's definitely a little slower, but it still has like a good rhythm. And like, I'm no music theory expert or anything, but she brings in like all these country folk instruments. There's like the little like guitar slide thing, and it brings a lot of emotion still to it. So it's not kind of just like
That's
a
cool.
lazy like
she did her own
version.
thing with it. Like,
yeah,
that's so cool.
That's also her guitar is crazy. There's like 1 million strings on it.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I
Is
think
it
it's like a 12.
string?
Yeah, it's looking.
Cool.
I didn't count, but it looks like a 12 string.
That's hot. That's cool. I gotta watch that. I love those, and I'm always like finding new music from that. Like because then you see a band and you're like, well, why'd you cover this? Like, I also love that they do behind the scenes for each one of those. Have you seen those?
No,
every
like
single one. Every time they post,
what do you mean behind the scenes?
They do like a little talk where they're like, so why'd you pick this song and why'd you do it? And it's like a perfect little.
Yeah.
They're so good.
I need to get into that.
You should subscribe to them because and you know they also always do 2 per artist. They do one song.
I think I've seen one song of theirs,
and then one is a cover. Yeah.
Okay, that is a great format.
There's
it's like the cover gets you in because you're like, yes, I've heard of Chaperone, and like, this is my favorite song. Let's see what you did with it. And then I know you're good at this. Let's hear your new thing. Yeah. She did a cover also for the Recording Academy's YouTube channel.
Oh, cool.
Cover of Iris by the Google Dolls.
Okay.
A single tear.
And I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand.
Oh my God. She's so good. Her,
Cool.
I hadn't even heard of her before this.
Really?
Also, it struck me that she like killed this American country folk version cover. Pretty sure she's Indonesian.
Wow.
So studied a whole other culture and just like nailed it completely.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I got to check this out.
Yeah. Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls. I'd be curious about what makes a good cover and if you've heard any other covers. I don't know.
I mean, Triple J has so many good covers.
Yeah.
Like there's a cover by the Arctic Monkeys covering Tame Impala's I Feel Like It Only Goes Backwards.
Ooh, okay.
And it's just like an acoustic cover and it's so cool.
Oh, sick.
And then Tame Impala did a cover of The Wiggles. Have you seen that?
Like the children's
they
band?
covered
No, I
Fruit
haven't.
Salad by the... No, wait. No, maybe it's the other way around. I think that The Wiggles covered a Tame Impala track. That's what it was.
That's so crazy.
It's so funny. They covered Elephant by Tame Impala. It's...
Okay, but it kind of makes sense because I feel like they could nail that.
It's so funny. It's so good.
Yeah.
My next gem might be my favorite on this list.
Whoa.
It's a hour-and-a-half long YouTube documentary called Chair Times.
It's a lovely chair.
Lovely chair.
Huh?
These are the cavalry chairs, which are so great because they're so light. And it's really incredible. Hard to beat.
Chair Times, A History of Seating. That's like the title of it.
What a great title.
It's so good, right? A History
very,
of
like,
Seating.
Official.
Yeah, and it makes you think. You're like, seating. It is a full-length documentary, but it's all on YouTube, and it's primarily like, I'd say 90% of it is in German. So
subtitles.
You
Got
gotta
it.
like read the subtitles, and I did watch it over a few like kind of sessions of watching it.
That does make me trust it more. Because they have iconic design. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Watching a German guy talk about chairs, it's like
This is his life.
That's exactly what you want. Yeah. And the first 7 minutes of this documentary is like experimental jazz music, which is kind of like underscoring the whole thing.
Okay.
And you just watch these people setting up all of these iconic chairs in a white room for 7 minutes, like listening.
Uncut, 7 minutes straight.
It's not uncut, but like
kind of.
Yeah,
it's
and
the
like,
same scene.
Yeah, you just see them walking, and you're like, what am I watching?
Yeah.
Like, and there's no talking, there's no narration or anything. It's just like you just see them, and then all the chairs as they're being wheeled in, they all have little graphics that have like name tags of the chair, and it says like the date of it and the name of it,
like the date it was designed. And
yeah, like the year. Yeah, and
cool.
it's just like, I am kind of like a nerd about like architect and like chairs and like stuff like, yeah, the chairs that we're sitting on they were in that room. This is
very important.
Yeah.
Why is this important?
This is the Emiko Navy chair, and there's a whole podcast about this chair made by 99% Invisible.
About this specific
about
chair?
this chair.
Okay.
That's why I got into them.
That's my next in my queue.
I was going to add that on, but I figured I would just mention it in here in this thing about chairs. I could talk about chairs for a while, but like this documentary, it's exactly what you want if you're into this kind of thing. I think like they don't talk about all of them, which I'm kind of bummed about because I would love to have heard everything. Yeah, exactly. We need a sequel of Chair Times, but it's this guy, I don't know his name, but he is like a collector of iconic chairs, and they have them all in real life full size, but then they also have miniature versions of all of them.
Are you?
So it's so cute. So it's like you see him and he's like a giant. He's holding up these like little miniatures and he's really inspecting them and he's showing you them and stuff. And then it'll cut to the real size one and they're like sitting in them and they talk about it. But a few things that I really pulled away from this that I was like, I love this. In the very beginning, they say that chairs constitute a part of history of modern architecture. You don't usually view architecture in this way. You don't see lots of buildings in such proximity, but chairs manifest something over and above their function because they kind of like represent like the time period that they were designed in and like the material and like the functionality. Like it's so interesting. He says a chair has its own personality. Each of them tell us something about the time it was created, about the person who designed it, and about the society that utilized that chair. They're all basically the same in that they're an invitation to have a seat. which is so cool. Like, I was like, oh, I love this. He says they're all small sculptures. It allows us to use chairs in order to illustrate that was like,
because immediately when you see a chair, even if you're not like super into it, you're like, oh, that looks like it's from the 50s, like Mad Men vibe.
But then like you don't even really think about it. Like one of the first ones they talk about was the bistro chair, and this was made in like the late 1800s.
Oh my god, the black Parisian.
Yes, and you've definitely like seen it. It's like got like the sort of bent wood thing, and like he talks about like how that was like a revolutionary thing to bend wood, like physically bend like a dowel to like make this shape. And it was so simple because there was only a few shapes, so they could like they made like millions of these chairs, and they were all made by hand because it was like that's just how they had to do it back then. But that is like it's so cool. And then like moving along the timeline, they figured out how to like bend metal tubes, and then that changed everything because it was like you could make these like designs, and the chrome looked really cool, and then like getting into plastic molding, and it's just so like it's so interesting to think like how these designers were coming up with this stuff, and how some of the designs they were literally like kind of competing with each other, and they're like, well, I'm gonna do this or I'm gonna do this. Like, so if you're into chairs even remotely,
I'm into it.
Like, watch this documentary. It's just so cool.
It's interesting that you framed it as like kind of a historical, like it places you historically too in like a certain era, and like you learn a lot about the chair based on like the materials that they used and like why it was revolutionary at the time.
And it makes you think it's like chairs are more architectural than you would realize, because a lot of them were designed by architects who were just like designing a building, and then they were like, well, I want the furniture to look nice in here, so I'm going to design some furniture to go with the building I just built, or like the house I just built.
Love it.
Okay, that's it.
That's all our gems for today. They're all linked below, and we also have a 7th bonus gem.
If you've got a gem that you want to share with us, leave it in a comment down below, and maybe we'll feature it in a future episode.
Thanks so much for being here, and we'll see you next time.